Okay, in this video we're going to be taking a look at a feature of the daily key levels V2.0 indicator, which is specifically the historical bull bear key price level feature and the historical main R and S levels feature. So these looking at historical sessions and looking at the range that SPX trades away from the bull bear key price level above it and below it on historical sessions, as well as looking at the range generally of the entire session, as well as trying to get an idea from looking at historical sessions as to other levels that consistently provide either a bullish or bearish opportunity that you can take trades off of besides the bull bear key price level. So one way of doing that is to go back and look at historical sessions and see how price is reacting at other main R and S levels for bullish and bearish reactions, and also seeing the general range for the entire session, and also the range of what's happening after it is hitting these other levels, so you can get a better idea of which other levels may be better for bullish or bearish opportunities. So in order to look at the historical levels the proper way, there are a couple of things you need to do in the user control panel before turning on the historical levels. So I'm going to go through those steps now to show you. Right now we're looking at the default look of this indicator. So when you first get this indicator, these are the levels and tables that you're going to see if you have on the CBOE SPX chart. You're going to see the pre-market high and low, and yesterday's high, low, and close table, the table for the bull bear key price level, and the R1 through R6. And then you are going to see the R1 through R6, which generally you want to zoom out of, like we've done here, so you can see things more granularly. But they are on the chart, but we have zoomed out of them by dragging this right price axis. Okay, and then you will have the first midpoint below, first midpoint above, excuse me, first midpoint below the bull bear KPL, and then also the QL above, the QL below, and then of course you have the bull bear and the main R and S levels. So what you need to do is go into the user control panel, and we're going to have to turn off several things before we can look at the historical sessions the correct way. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go into the style section here, and you're going to turn off R6 through R10, excuse me, R7 through R10, and then S7 through S10. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to go down to turn off the midpoint lines and midpoint labels. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to go down to the QL level section and just turn off enable quarter level lines. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go down and turn off all the tables, as well as the pre-market levels and the yesterday session levels. So we're going to turn off display pre-market high-low. We're going to turn off enable previous daily lines. We're going to turn off all three of the tables that are checked, even though this is only displaying two. You want to turn off all the tables. Lastly, we're going to go back up to the display settings here, And where it says mainline extension options, you want to change it from both to right. So this will make the main lines, which are the bull bear key price level, and the main R1 through R6 and S1 through S6 levels, and make them right only instead of in both directions. So as you can see now, all we have on our screen is the bull bear key price level, R1 through R6 and S1 through S6. We have no tables, we have no midpoint lines, we have no quarter level lines. And now we can go back into the user control panel. And now we're going to scroll nearly down to the bottom after the QL line section and before the pre-market value section. And you'll see two checkboxes here: enable historical BB-KPL line and show historical R and S lines. So you're going to check both of those. Now what you're going to do is, you can see we're on a 2-minute chart. The chart time frame is going to be the determining factor in how many historical sessions you can look at, because there is an historical bar limitation that is based on the type of plan that you have with TradingView. So depending on which plan you have, as their plans get more expensive, they allow more historical bars to be displayed, which means you can look at more historical sessions. Primarily what that means is that the more bars you have available in your plan, historical bars in your TradingView plan, means that you could look at a lesser time frame over a longer period of time. So in other words, if you're looking back on a 2-minute chart time frame, there's so many bars in an hour on a 2-minute chart, and so many 2-minute bars in a day on a 2-minute chart. And obviously on a 5-minute or 15-minute chart, there's going to be less bars. So if you have a historical bar limitation of X amount of bars, you're going to be able to look at more historical sessions on a longer chart time frame than a lesser chart time frame. Remember that this indicator only works on chart time frames of 1 minute up to 30 minutes. So the highest time frame you could do this on would be a 30-minute chart time frame, and the least you could do it on would be a 1-minute chart time frame. But we'll start out with the 2-minute chart time frame. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to go down here to the time axis and drag it over like this. And then you'll see this is the previous session. This is today's session. This is the previous session. Now we don't have the line labels over here, but all these line labels are color coded. So you know the yellow is the bull bear key price level. The blue line above is R1. The blue line below is S1. Then you have S2, S3, S4, S5, S6. Then we have R1. Excuse me, that's R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6. Alright, so on this 2-minute, this is on a 2-minute chart. You could also change it, for example, to a 5-minute chart. And then each one of these, you could spread out. You could go up and down, but just find the chart time frame that you would like to look at it on. And what you'll see is that, for example, lately we've been having a lot of gap up days from the previous day. So the first bar here is going to be the 930 bar. This is the close from yesterday. So when you see this type of transition here, that's the new session. So each one of these is a session here. So you can get an idea here from looking at these historical sessions what the predominant price action has been recently, as well as, let's say, in the last week, the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks, the last 4 weeks, the last 5 weeks of sessions, etc., as far back as your historical bar limitation on your trading view plan and the chart time frame you are looking at will allow you to go. But if you look here, we don't really have a huge range recently. We are getting gap ups, but we're not getting large ranges. We're getting some decent price opportunities from the bull bear key price level going up to, say, the mid R1, R2 level, as it did, except it didn't do it till late yesterday. Now keep in mind that currently this indicator does not show the historical midpoint lines. We may be releasing a version soon that will also be able to show the historical midpoint lines of the ones that you have enabled, which will be helpful as well. And it's also going to have a few other feature enhancements, which I can't talk about at the moment. And so when that version comes out, you should be able to also see the historical midpoint lines. And then you will be able to get an even more granular view of each historical session, including those midpoint lines as well. But for right now, you can simply approximate them by just eyeballing it as to whether it's hitting a midpoint between two main levels or not. Alright, so one point you can look at here is that recently, like I said, we've had gap up days. So we've had several gap up days in a row here. But we're getting fairly narrow ranges, except from the bull bear key price level. We're still getting a 1.5 level move, although those 1.5 level moves, such as yesterday and today, are happening from the bull bear key price level. They're not happening till later on in the session. The other point is that if you look at, if you're trying to look at, well, what are some other levels I could take either bullish or bearish trades from besides the bull bear key price level? Then when you're looking at historical sessions, you can start to get an idea of what levels have been in play in the past and what sort of price reactions there are from those levels, and then also how far it's traveling either bullishly or bearishly from those other levels. So the point in doing that is to get an idea of the risk reward that you would be looking at if you wanted to take a play off of one of these other, a bullish or bearish play off of one of these other main R or S levels. Because if there's not enough reward in it, for example, off taking a bullish play off of R1 as an example, if you're not getting at least one level of movement, bullish movement off of R1, meaning it's going all the way to R2, then it's probably not a good idea to be trying to take bullish plays off of R1, because if you have a standard stop loss that's the midpoint below R1 on a bullish play of R1, and it's not even making it to R2 on most days, then that's probably not a good idea, because the risk of having the stop loss and midpoint below R1 and the reward is it's not even getting a 2-to-1 reward by going up a full level. So when you're looking for other bullish and bearish plays, those are sort of the things that you want to get an idea on, that at least in recent history, you know, every session's different. There could be news that comes out that shakes things up, that makes it different from what's been normally going on lately. Of course, that can always happen, but and take people by surprise. But you want to get a general idea of what is normally happening overall by looking at many different sessions, as well as what's been happening recently in the past 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, 10 sessions, to sort of get an idea. So as you keep looking back, you can get an idea. Like for example here, you had, if you were trying to take a bullish play off of R1, well, you did get a move up to nearly mid R2, R3. So that's about a 1.5 level move, and you certainly got up here on a 1 level move from R1. Then you look at a session like this where we have a drastic move down. We have S1, S2, S3 just beyond, so that's a 3 level move down from the bull bear key price level. However, you did get a move here from the S2 level all the way back up to be a little bit beyond S1. And you got another move here from S2 to S1. Then you got to move here all the way down to S3, back up to S2, S3 to S2. Here, we're not even reaching the R1 level. Here, we're going all the way up from the bull bear key price level to the R2 level. So here, you also had another opportunity where you could have gone R1 to R2. Here, that didn't happen till later on in the day. Now, you could go to a 15-minute chart and that can give you a better day. Here you can see it went beyond the S6 level. If you wanted to see something like that, then you would go back on to the user control panel, and then you would turn on the other levels, and then you'd have to go in the style section and turn on the other levels as well, so you could see all the levels that it went down to on this particular day. But if you just look in general, how many days like that are there where it's exceeding S6 or R6? And if you just quickly look back, you know, you can keep looking back. It just depends on how many historical bars you have. You can see there's not many days like that. But you can see in general how many days there are between, say, S2 and R2, or S1 and R1 in general, or R3 and S3 in general. You can sort of get a general idea of, okay, it looks like for every amount of sessions we have that the range is normally this amount between the blue lines, then we'll have a day like this where all of a sudden now you get a move that's going all the way from R1 all the way down to mid S3, S4. So you can see here, here's another aberration day where we get a move that's R1, R2, R3, R4, almost to R5. Now remember, this is a 15-minute chart. That's why these bars, there's not many bars in the day here. But this is just maybe just to get an overall idea on this 15-minute chart. Then you can narrow it down to, say, go down to a 5-minute, look at a more granular view. And then, of course, if you're only trading on a 2-minute chart or a 1-minute chart or a 3-minute chart, then obviously you can just go to that. It's going to take you more time to look at charts with this many bars in it but if it's more beneficial for you to look at it on this granular of a level, just going day by day and looking at basically one day at a time on your chart, if that's more beneficial to you, then the main thing is that you can try several different methods just to get an overall view on a longer time frame chart, and then moving it down granularly and getting more of an idea of how the SPX trades on any given day, the recent days, going the most recent 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and then over the last couple of weeks, and then over the last couple of months. Like I said, we will be coming out with another version of this indicator soon. Sorry about that. There's the 4 p.m. bell. Okay, so we will be coming out with another version of this indicator soon that will have some additional features that I cannot talk about at this time. One that I can talk about is that that will be included will be the historical midpoint lines. So that will be an additional help in looking at something like this, the historical sessions. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to watch this video.